You're gonna love my rad intro. Don't laugh. You will. But okay. Hey, welcome back to another edition of Open Shutter, Wednesday morning edition, but that's okay. I'll do this thing anytime, day or night, and have the pleasure of welcoming Nik on, the director of photography, cinematographer. Thanks, man, for taking the time. I know you're super busy. It's the day after a long weekend kind of thing, so I know you got a lot of stuff going on. So just want to say thanks again for coming on, man.
Not a problem. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, for sure. So just kind of want to. I was doing a little bit of research over the weekend, and I found a podcast you did a couple of years ago, and you were mentioning how you started just using a camera later on in life, which I found really inspiring because I think a lot of us kind of want to get into camera or video or photo, but they don't know where to start. But you did, but you started later in life. So I'm just curious about like how you made that switch.
Yeah, so when I started, I was in my late 20s and I picked up a Canon T2i, which, 10 years ago was like a lower end. It was like a very prosumer, approachable, like you get it for $300 DSLR. And I played it in like an indie rock band. And I just had the objective of like, well, I want to shoot music videos. But every time I contacted someone to shoot music videos, they wanted like 4 to 10 grand, which now I'm like, well, that's totally reasonable.
Sure,
but at the time I was like, no, I don't have $5,000 to spend on a music video. I'm just gonna, much similar to music, I'm just gonna pick this thing up and kind of figure it out. And it was around the time that YouTube tutorials were becoming more prevalent. So if I had a problem or something I didn't like in my footage, I could Google like, hey, why is my image so bright? And, there would be something along the lines of, well, how much ND do you have? And I would be like, I don't know what ND is. So it was just like, I never thought of myself as like getting better at cinematography. I would always I would solve a problem. And over the course of a decade, you just have so many more problems solved that when you're presented in a situation that's not good, you're like, well, I have the solve for this because I've been here before.
Yeah, it sounds so easy, right? Because I think a lot of us.
No. It's easy to do a synopsis down to 2 minutes, but it's not easy. It's a fun challenge.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because like in the podcast that you did, that you were saying that you were actually an optometrist, right? So like totally different worlds, right? Like how did you actually get out of being a doctor and going into video?
I mean, I have a very supportive wife who let me take the leap because, especially when she explained it to her friends, every single one of them looked at her very cockeyed and was like, "So he's a doctor and he's going to go play around with cameras for punk rock bands?" And she would be like, "Yeah, he's going to try that for a year." But looking back on it now, it seemed crazy. I would say the second I paid off my student debt, I was like, well, I'm just going to try this thing for a year. And if it doesn't work, then I'll go back to being an eye doctor. And you never know where life will take you.
Yeah. Interesting. Did you tell your patients that you were like playing around with cameras? Like you got clients from your patients kind of thing? No.
All my patients were like, all my patients were, it was a very like geriatric patient list. So it was like 70 plus people. And at the time I would have been, I would have been 25 at the time. I already looked too young to be their practitioner. So if I hit them with I'm messing around with cameras and YouTube, they would be like, all right, I don't need to hear anymore. Do you have another doctor here?
Interesting, man. No, it's like really inspiring just the way that you actually did it. Like you didn't just you spoke it, but you actually like did it, which I think is a huge thing.
Well, they say that CEOs don't necessarily need to know the thing they're talking about. They know how people work. And I wouldn't say I would make a good CEO, but optometry taught me a lot of communication skills and working with new people. Like you essentially have a new patient every 20 minutes that you have to win over and tell them what you're going to do and make them think that you're capable of the job. So when I got to cinematography, most of it is less of it is lighting and can't like it seems like the artsy stuff is, oh yeah, that's what consumes Nick's brain all the time, but it's not that at
Yeah.
all. It's
Mm.
I want to get put on jobs. So it's almost like every day is a job interview to sell yourself, to sell your idea. It's
Right.
less of a technical thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I think is huge because a lot of us get caught on gear a lot of times, but
Yeah.
you raise a good point of like, so if someone were to ask you like what separates your work from like everyone else, like what would you say?
I wouldn't say it's the images, to be honest. I would say
Really?
it's the approach and the relationships behind the images. The
Yeah.
directors I
Interesting.
shoot for, the production companies that hire me, uh,
Yeah.
because I came up through YouTube, I'm pretty malleable and I can solve problems on the fly. Uh, I think I'm a good person to work with, but if someone said like, "What separates my images?" I
Yeah.
don't know if I have a good answer for what me versus the top 100 DPs in Canada. Like there are people that artistically I think are much better than myself, but I always
Right.
equate it back to kind of the analogy of music. I was a big Blink 182 fan to age
Mm-hmm.
myself a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Tom DeLonge was never the most technically proficient guitarist, but there was something about his voice, his little nuances in guitar that I was drawn to.
Yeah.
I think in art, being the best, if that means anything at all, isn't always what makes you hireable and climb the ladder in an industry.
Mm. It's about the relationships. Totally
For
agree with
sure.
that. Yeah,
For
because I mean,
sure.
like other people have come on here and say your work can be great, but if it's really about your reputation, right? Because
Yep.
your reputation walks in the room before you do. So you need to make sure, I guess, that you're able to work well with others and that you can take feedback and all that stuff, right? Because kind of like check your ego at the door, kind of thing, right?
A little bit. So if I was giving
Yeah,
advice to younger people in the arts or
yeah,
cinematography specifically, I would say you got to learn all the skills. Like the technical is part of the job. You can't avoid that, but
right.
spend as much time on your personal relationships, how you communicate with people. Like I'm
Right.
surprised in film schools that they don't have courses on this is how you should talk to a gaffer. This is how you should communicate with
Mm.
a production company.
Hmm.
It's there was courses when I was a doctor in bedside manner. You would spend 1 hour a week learning how to talk to a patient about a problem,
Yeah,
and so much of the world doesn't tell you how to communicate what's in your head, but that's most of the job at the end of the day is that
yeah,
communication. So
yeah.
it's
Interesting.
like
Interesting.
learning to speak is a big asset.
Yeah, and it's tough these days because we're just so used to texting. We've almost lost the art of like speaking to people in like real life almost.
Yeah, and I'm a weirdo. I like
Yeah,
text, but I love
yeah,
phone calls. Like if I'm doing a
sure.
long drive, I can do an hour phone call, really get to know
Yeah,
someone. But
yeah.
I hate voice notes. I don't know why,
You
but they
do, eh?
drive me they drive me
You
bonkers.
see that play icon on your WhatsApp.
I
It's
hear
like
that.
not
I
again.
hear that. Yeah, I see that
Right,
play
right.
icon, and I just see
Mm,
red. I'm like, you're gonna make me listen to your voice for 2 minutes where I can't exit the iMessage app. Just gotta
right,
sit here
right.
and
Just
look at
call me.
this
Just
thing.
call me. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So I'm a
yeah.
bit of an odd duck when it comes to that, especially when the translate thing doesn't like you kind of open the thing. You're
Yeah,
like, that's not what they're
yeah,
saying.
yeah.
I actually have to listen to this.
No, I think it's an important point about how to speak to people, right? Because at the end of the day, we're all people in the end, right? Like
Yeah.
it's doesn't matter what your role is on the set, like we're all people, right? So
Yes.
it's super important to treat people with respect and treat people how you want to be treated, right? So I think that's where it kind of goes back to like checking your ego at the door, like don't try to be better than like everyone else, kind of thing.
Yeah, I would say have no ego whatsoever. I would
Yeah,
most of the time the energy I bring to set is I don't know all the answers. I'm here to work with everyone to get to the end result.
right.
But you want it to be a collaborative process. You want
Yeah,
everybody on the crew, above the line, below the line, to be part of the process. Because if they're more engaged, they're going to do a better thing for you. So I mean, there's a reason why at the end of the movie you see a couple hundred names scrolling across the credits. It's because
yeah,
no one person, as much as we like to think it, is
yeah.
making this. It's not possible. It is a collaborative process. So if you can walk on a set and be like, "Hey, I'm just part of the machine that's getting this done," I think it's a healthier
Yeah.
outlook.
Yeah, 100%, man. You gotta get people because but my thing is like everyone can be a boss, but not everyone's a leader.
Yep.
So it's kind of like that kind of mindset. But Like what?
And
Like go ahead.
I think a lot of the communication skills, they come with age too. Like it's just the
Right.
more outlook you have on life, the more perspective, the more
Yeah.
you can understand other people's motivations and how to speak them. Like me at 22, it'd be
Yeah.
very difficult to speak to a 40-year-old producer and be like, listen, bud, we both get life. And he would look at me and be like, you don't know
Right. Right.
anything, man.
You
Like,
don't know
so
it. Yeah.
um, it's it's less of always a technical thing, and
Right.
I think sometimes just doing it over and over again, getting the confidence and the way to say what's in your head to other people. That's almost the that I think that's what experience is. That's what we
Yeah.
don't talk about is like that's the
Yeah.
definition of experience is just doing it so much that it becomes second nature to you.
Yeah. And that you're actually confident in like speaking about your ideas to like someone else,
Yes.
right? You know, because I think being confident, like when you speak to someone, is so important. Like if you're really convicted in like your idea, I think it really comes across to someone.
Very much so.
You know, so like how does one get experience these days? Like, do you need film school, or do you just need to like pick up a camera, practice, and just start networking with people?
So me personally, I never went to film school. So my opinion is obviously more. I don't think you need it, but talk to someone else. Your mileage may vary. This is just
Right.
my opinion, but I think there is so much information out there that if you have an idea or an image in your head, the gear is pretty accessible now. If you're looking at film school 20 years ago, like I could never get
Yeah.
access to a 35 mil camera or the crew that knows how to load that, or to
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
send it off to like Kodak to get it finished. Like the barrier to entry was so high that there was no way to
Yeah.
do it at home.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
literally for $1,000, you could get a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, a
Right.
used FX3, and if someone says, "Well, that's not an Ari Alexa," I would be like, I shoot them side by side with my Alexa all the time. Like that's not the hiccup of where you should be. Like you should
Yeah.
have ideas, and then this is just the tool. These are all competent tools.
Yeah.
So if I was looking to get in this field from the start, I would say find a couple of eager friends, pick up the tools, and just start messing around. Is the first
Yeah.
thing you shoot going to be great? No, but that's what learning is. If you pick
Yeah.
up a guitar and you're like, well, I'm going to be a rock star tomorrow. No, you're not.
Right.
That's not
Right.
how this works. It takes time,
Yeah.
but you have to start somewhere. So make 5 really terrible short films. And then your
Yeah.
6th one might be like, oh, this is watchable.
Yeah, that's what's watchable. Yeah, you can show it to your mom and she might like it, kind of thing. But yeah, no, I
Yeah.
totally agree. I'm more about like e- execute on the idea, just like execute and just see what happens. Like don't really worry about like the end result when you're first starting. Just see like the process, like what's involved. Like what do you need to get better at lighting? What do you need to get better at audio? What do you need to get better at framing? All like all these
Yeah.
things play
Uh,
into it.
a big thing I do is I always have debrief calls with my directors after every shoot, and we kind of
Ah,
it's kind of like reviewing game footage or like having a team meeting after. You're like, hey, I really like how this went. I think we could have done better than this, or we could have gone
yeah,
quicker, or we should have done
right.
this at a different time of day. Like, there's always room for efficiencies. They're not always big, colossal mess ups on set. You're just like,
Yeah,
I want to have a self awareness on what did we do well, what could we do better, because you're always
yeah.
looking to tighten up for the next round.
Yeah, 100%. So what are you trying to get better at these days?
I mean, efficiency is a big one. It's the like I like the look I produce. There's always fine tuning that, but as you climb the ranks and the budgets go up, the demands go up too. It doesn't get easier. You're working with better people, but let's say you're in the commercial space.
Yeah,
You're still doing 20 to 30 shots a day, multiple languages, multiple aspect ratios. It's less of like, oh, like I'm always put off when people are like, oh, you've made it. And I'm like, there is no making it. Like it would be like saying to someone, oh, you're in the NHL, now you can coast. It's like, no, now you're
right.
playing against the best
The
people.
best. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No,
So
exactly,
yes,
exactly.
you're where you want to be, but it doesn't make it any less challenging. So
Yeah,
listening to the people around me, finding the shortcuts on how to scale up, how to move quicker, how to get ahead of problems. Because if you make a wrong call on a setup or maybe a time of day with the first AD, you can almost see 2 hours ahead of time. You're like, oh, I screwed up. This is going to make our life so much harder now that I
yeah.
made this call 6 days ago.
So what do you do then?
I mean, you try to pivot from that bad idea as quick as possible, and then other times
Yeah.
you just got to live in that bad idea, and you're like, "Yep, I made the wrong call here, and I'm never gonna be here again because I'm gonna flag that this is an issue." Like,
Yeah.
an example is one a couple weeks ago. I was on a commercial scout, and I was looking at my Artemis, which for people, or I was looking at Artemis and Sunseeker. So for people that don't know, Artemis is like a preview of the camera and the lens you have. It's a very
Mhm.
handy tool when you're scouting out because you can type in your sensor with the lens and it gives you a preview of like the field of view. Sunseeker shows you the sun path where you're at. So I'm always trying to backlight everything. That's
That's
my
cool.
hack.
That's
So
cool.
on the Sunseeker app, I was looking at the sun path, but I was looking at the sun path. It shows you like 3 sun paths, one for like the fall, winter, and summer. And I was looking
Wow.
at the fall sun path, and I was like, "Oh, we're great." And then on the day,
Yeah.
I was like, "I looked at the wrong path. We're about an hour off from where I
No.
thought the sun was going to be."
No.
Um,
And
so
then
I mean, we brought
inside
it a yeah, we should have
inside
been
you're
there an
just starting
hour
freaking out.
earlier.
Yeah. Oh
And
no.
I'm never freaking out on set. Like,
Yeah.
there's always a workaround, but I could have done better in the planning process. So now, when I'm on set and I'm looking at that little app, I'm like, well, I'm never gonna make that
Yeah.
mistake again.
Yeah. Well, I think sometimes you almost have to make the mistake live, like during the project, because I think maybe sometimes we don't really think about those kinds of things. So I think sometimes, just like in general, you just need to make that mistake live and just, okay,
Yep.
now I know for like next time. Because it's hard to think of all the possible scenarios in your head that might go wrong.
You
Like, oh no,
you
it's like,
can't think of everything that's gonna go wrong because even on a
right.
smooth shoot, there will still be half a dozen things that you're like, I didn't see that coming. All right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
There was one
yeah.
Kia commercial I was doing where we had to take the hood off the car to rig a couple of lights to do like a hostess tray shot.
Yeah.
And we didn't foresee that the new Kia models have all these security features that when you take the hood
Mm.
off a car, they don't let you drive the car. Like, it locks
Oh,
up
oh,
because they're like, well, obviously you can't drive this. Someone's working on the engine with the hood up. And we're like, So we had to call someone from Kia, like a technician, to come down and override that safety issue that rightfully so should be on.
oh, wow.
Uh, but that was something that, like, me, the producer, and the director, not necessarily that's a DP's fault, but that's something I took
Yeah,
away from that shoot, being like, hey guys, like, next time, let's make sure we have a technician in case there's any like safety override things that need to occur for us to run this car even while we're
yeah,
rigging to it.
yeah, 100%, man. Not everyone's shooting a video when they're driving their car, kind of thing. So
Yeah, so it's little things like that that, like, you could just never
interesting.
foresee it, but now you get to bank that as a, hey, I'm gonna flag this the next time a car commercial comes up.
Yeah, interesting. So you like doing car stuff? Is that kind of like your thing?
Car stuff's fun. It's super
Yeah.
challenging, and I like it. I would say my favorite stuff to shoot is probably anything lifestyle. I love shooting
Okay.
faces. There's something about like
Faces.
the emotional connection with the face and picking the right focal length and getting that moment
Yeah.
where there's a twinkle in the eye and the right smile. Just running around handheld, like, it's pretty. I like all the big
Handheld.
toys, but there's something very organic about just like you, a camera, and a person in the right light, and
Right.
it all can be exciting, but I like to mix it up. So cars are fun, but you do a couple of car jobs in a row, and you're like, okay, I want to shoot a pizza, or I want to try something
Yeah.
different.
Yeah. Interesting. So like, how does it work? Do people reach out to you, or do you kind of reach out to people, kind of things, like to get these gigs, or
So
word of mouth kind of thing?
for the most part now, I have like a good roster of directors that have hired me for a
Yeah.
few years, so
Okay.
that's a good connection. But
Yeah.
I also have an agent that puts me up for a job
Nice.
when they, like, if a production company or agency requests a bigger DP and they're like, so and so is booked, but have you seen Nick? And they're like, we've
Yeah.
never heard of Nick before. And I'm like, well, I
Yeah.
could do a
I'm
half-ass
good.
job.
Yeah, I'm good,
No, I
man.
get. No. I'm competent enough not to screw up your job. That's as far as
Yeah.
all.
Right. I won't screw it up. I promise. That's
Yeah,
the pitch.
I always try
That's
to
fine. That's fine.
undersell.
Undersell.
Yeah.
Undersell, over deliver. Always good.
But earlier on in my career, I would meet with directors all the time and grab coffees, and I would
Right.
always approach them never in a way of like, hey, when will you hire me? I would just want to get to know them as people so
Yeah.
that we could be like, well, how are we going to hang out for 12 hours on a set? It was
Yeah.
very much like, I want to know you as a person. And when the right job comes along, hey, maybe you'll give me a call. But I like working with people that I enjoy hanging out with, because at the end of the day, if the
Right.
energy and the atmosphere is right on set, I've found that you produce a better thing.
Yeah, 100%, man. It's not just like a transaction, right? That you're
No,
doing. It's not a
and I've
transaction.
done those shoots before, but the ones that usually
Yeah.
feel transactional, it's usually one and done. Like, you and the
Yeah.
director will be like, "Hey, this was good," but it's kind of like an okay first date. You're like, "Ah, this was
Yeah.
good, but I don't know if I'm going to do it again."
I might call you, might not, kind of thing. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, whereas if you can get
Interesting.
on that first date with someone where like the fireworks are going off and it's like, man, every
Yeah.
frame was awesome, everything was just clicking, then
Right.
it's you have this shorthand for communication. When they
Yeah,
call you
yeah.
next time, they know exactly what you're after. It's really nice to find someone who's on your wavelength.
Yeah. And usually that happens when you're not trying to force anything. Like it just
Yeah,
happens
I mean,
naturally, you know? Like you're not trying to impress anybody. You're just being Nick. Like I'm just
no,
doing my thing, man.
and that's another good piece of advice too. I'd say be yourself. Like, if you're listening to me, you're like, well, I should be like Nick to get work. I'd be like,
That,
no, like I'm like Nick and it's helped my career, but like you should be like you, because you'll
yeah,
find the directors that are attracted to that energy, attracted to that
100%.
workflow. Like, if you're thinking about it like dating, there is no hack to dating. You got to find someone who likes you for you. And
You
as
for,
cheesy as that
yeah.
sounds,
Well,
that's
that's
kind of
that's
what filmmaking is like too.
well, that's what's gonna last like the long run, you know? Like when you're just being Nick and okay, this is me, you like it, you don't, and then we just move on, right? So I think also that's where like the true art comes in too, is when everything's aligned so good, like the art, like the final product looks so good.
Yeah, no, there's and I think that's something else that's not spoken about enough is
Yeah,
a lot of times production companies and agencies, they want to put like a great DP and a great director together, and they're like, well, this
yeah,
thing for sure this thing can't fail. Look at the all-star team we put together. But
yeah,
those two
yeah,
people might not have great chemistry, or it might be more battling, and
yeah.
everyone from above the line is like, we don't get it. We had all these great pieces, and it's like, yeah, but you're discounting the fact that sometimes like people are greater than the sums of their parts. And there are
Totally.
certain director DP combos that do amazing work, and there are other ones that are like, ah, I just don't know if it clicked today.
Yeah, it happens, right? It's kind of like putting together like an all-star team, right? Like you have all these great players, but like they can't play well together, right? Like it's just
Yeah.
you need like the team. You don't need necessarily like the A plus. You just need the team that works well together, which I think is a good point for people to know. Is that like you said earlier, you don't have to be the best at it. You just need to be able to work well with others, as you said.
Yeah, and not every shoot is going to be a slam dunk. That's the other
Right.
thing that, like, in the past 2 years, I've had to reorient my mind is that
Yeah.
not every shoot is set up for success. Some of them are kind of set up for failure,
Really? How
and
so?
just the number of shots you have to do in the day. Sometimes the creative is not to your liking. The location sucks. Sometimes the schedule is just like you have to shoot 5 spots in a day. Like, some of them aren't set up for maybe what you and I would say is a success. Like, everybody has
Yeah,
different motives on a day. So the agency
exactly.
might be like, hey, if we get all 5 of these done, we don't care if it doesn't look like Oppenheimer. That's not our motive today. So you just have to, as a DP, be like, my job is to do my best today and get the most out of these images,
Yeah.
but they're not necessarily hiring me to make every frame a painting. There's just like, it's same thing if you're doing narrative. The
Yeah.
objective is to tell the story. It's not to make every frame a painting, because if by making it a painting you don't get as many shots, you don't get the coverage to tell the story, well, you're actually doing a
Right.
disservice to the movie or the short or whatever. So
Yeah.
it's all about balancing and realizing that every move you make has a consequence. You have
Mm,
to determine if that consequence is in the story or the look, but everything has a consequence.
interesting. Interesting. So it's all planned in a way. Like you got to really think about like every step that you're taking, kind of thing.
Yeah, and a lot of times, like, if you just let me light forever, I would never
Yeah.
stop. Like, there's no finishing. So
Yeah.
at a certain point, maybe an hour into a setup, if the first AD is like, "Are we ready to roll?" and I'm looking at the monitor, I'm like, Yep, looks pretty good. We're ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's like we passed the
You just kind of
threshold
know it's
of
ready.
you kind of know like we're ready to go. This will match the other shots, and you kind of
Yeah.
need to like self tell yourself like this is good enough. And good enough sounds bad, but it really
Yeah.
isn't when you see the whole thing in the context of the edit with all the other pieces, and you're like, no, I'm glad we called it there and didn't take another 20 minutes in lighting, because then we wouldn't have got this angle, or we wouldn't have got takes 4
Yeah.
and 5 where the actor
Exactly.
really opened up.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it being a DP becomes much more of a mental planning. It's like almost like a game of chess, seeing what move's going to happen to 4 moves from now,
Yeah.
than it is necessarily just lighting and composition.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say like it's always great when you see the final product. Like when you see the finished product, it's like, man, we did a good job on that. Instead of
Yeah.
seeing each scene, each frame by frame, you're looking at, oh, I could have done better on this frame. I could have done better on that frame. But when you see the final product, it must feel good. It's like, man, we really nailed that.
Yeah, and it's you're never going to make something that's perfect. Like I'm always
Yeah.
dumbfounded when someone's like, this spot is perfect. I'm like, it's not. I can show you the flaw in every
Right.
frame of what I would change, but on the whole it turned out good, and that's a win for me.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
I don't think perfection should be the goal every time.
Yeah. I think we tend to put like a lot of pressure on ourselves because we want to make it perfect, just because I guess maybe we're just conditioned by social media to like, oh, this has to be a banger every single
No.
time. It's like,
Yeah.
no, we need
Yeah, if you
you
want to feel
know,
pretty crappy about yourself, just open up Instagram. If you have
just
an algorithm like mine, scroll for 2
yeah.
minutes and be like, all right, I'm terrible at my
Is it
job.
all
I should quit.
DPs? Is it all DPs on your IG? Just
Yeah,
roll.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's all
Right.
people sharing the dopest stuff that's ever
Yeah.
been created. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I suck. I'm
Right.
terrible. I should give up.
Are they showing like the beat, like the BTS too of like how they actually shot it?
Sure. And then
Yeah.
what's even more deflating with the BTS sometime is like, I'm like, this looks amazing. And then I go check out the BTS and they're doing all the exact same stuff I'm doing. Why does my stuff look like
Why
this?
can't my stuff look like Nolan stuff? Yeah, no, exactly, right.
So
Like who's
it's
like, yeah, it's well, hey man, we've all been there. I think it's just like it's just the artist thing. Like it's just, I think we tend to like compare ourselves sometimes. I mean, it's a human thing, but at the like you said earlier, you just got to be you. You just got to own you and own your process.
yeah, I would say always try to refine what you're doing and then use social media as a tool. If
100%.
like sometimes I see things and it inspires me to be better, but if you're ever doom scrolling and you're feeling helpless and like, hey, like if your self-esteem is so low, I would say, you know what? Go for a walk. I don't know if looking at other people's images right now is necessarily best bang for your buck
Yeah.
to help your career right now. So
Yeah. We've all been there.
it's kind of a double-edged sword. I use it for if I wouldn't be sitting here if Instagram didn't exist. Like Instagram,
Exactly.
like it is part of the job. Fortunately or unfortunately,
Right.
it's part of the reason why people hire you. I'm always amazed by DPs that have no social media presence, and I'm like, hats off to you. You somehow managed to completely
Really?
circumvent that and have a career.
They must have a reel or something. They
Yeah. No,
yeah.
usually they're more senior. They have a good
Yeah.
established look, and they're like, I don't need a website, and I'm like, well, good for you. I need a website.
I need to show my stuff. I need to show my stuff. Yeah. Yeah, man, we've all been there. It's just you just gotta kind of like own you, right? And I know that you're working with the art of documentary, and I know that you got like a cinema course on there teaching
Yep.
cinematography. So
Yep.
how's that going?
Good. So I've been working with Mark
Yeah.
a bunch for the past couple of years, and I've been
Yeah.
helping him out with a documentary he's doing for Netflix. And we put
Sick.
together this course of it's called Cinepath. And
Yeah.
basically what it is, it's kind of like how a DP works in the industry. So while there's still a ton of stuff on lighting and technical approach, a
Yeah.
lot of the course is more my conversations with people, how I plan for a shoot from the pre-production to how I work with a colorist in post. It's the things that I see less on YouTube, and it's the questions that I get at. Like I used to get asked questions on what lens and camera did you shoot this with? And then I saw over time, it's like, hey, how did you sell that shot to the agency? How did you plan this out? So it's kind of like the next level of once you kind of know what you like in an image. Now, how do you
Yeah.
get someone to pay you for that idea or approach to a project.
Great. Wow. So you're actually teaching that.
Yeah, and it's
That's
like
sick.
it's it's not black and white in terms of like this is what you have to do. It's
Yeah.
hey, this has been successful for me. Like listen to me talk and talk to industry professionals for 6 to 10 hours and take
Right.
40 to 50 tips out of that you might be like, hey, these 30 really helped my career. I don't agree with these 20. And it's like, well, that's how I built my career is I listened to 50 DPs and I was like, that's great. I'm stealing that. I don't agree with that. I'm not
Yeah.
going to do that at all. So it's
It's a gold
nothing's
mine.
a
It's a gold mine of
silver.
knowledge, man.
Sure,
Gold
but
mine of
nothing's
knowledge.
a silver bullet. You still have to
No,
do the work. Like
of
I'm
course.
always amazed by these courses and YouTube videos that are like, if you do these 5 things, your career will change and your images will change. And then you watch
Yeah.
the video and you're like, so far side key, use a neg, sometimes hair light, rule of thirds, and they're like, yeah. I'm like, well, this is not groundbreaking. Like we all know this stuff.
Mhm.
It's the doing it that's the hard part.
Yeah. Watch this video and you're gonna make 100K on your next shoot. Okay.
Yeah, well, good for you. I should watch that video.
Yeah. Like where can I sign? No,
No,
I think it's a good point. It's a good point you make.
yeah, my general outlook of the industry is if you love film, it's the greatest job in the world. But to be successful at film, you're probably going to have to work harder than the person next to you and
Yeah.
put in more hours than you would think because it's a very competitive industry. And it's like that I haven't found a hack to. I don't find these
Mhm.
shortcuts. There's only been things I found useful that in the longevity of your career have helped me. But if
Yeah.
someone's like, how do I become an industry level DP in a year? I would be like, I don't think you can. I don't think that's just not how the industry's set up. There are certain relationships that you have to make. Like these things take
Yeah.
time, and it's like that isn't to say
Mhm.
there aren't people that are overnight successes, but I think that they're more the outliers than the standard of
Yeah.
how you get big. If you look at musicians, most
Yeah.
people are like they tour for 10 years, they have 3 albums before they quote unquote make it big. Are there some people that have viral sensations on TikTok
Mhm.
and YouTube and skirt around that system? Sure. But most people they have to climb the ranks and it takes time to do the thing at the
Yeah.
highest level.
I think, yeah, that applies to like really kind of like any business. I think also at the same time you have to think about you may go viral, but then what? To me, it's like someone goes viral, but then what? Then what do you do? Right? Like there's always
I
that like
mean,
next thing, you know?
usually you end up getting caught in a sophomore slump, and it's like maybe you just got lucky once, and now
Yeah,
you can't
exactly.
maintain that level of excellence. So it's
Right.
whereas if if you slowly build your career, and someone's like, "Do you think you'll be able to shoot this chicken commercial?" and you're like, "Yeah, I've shot this commercial 10 times. Like
Yeah,
I'm pretty
yeah.
confident we can shoot the chicken wings today."
We can shoot it, man. We can shoot it. Um, yeah, I think it's almost better to like grow gradually because at least then you can have like a steady base of work, experience, clients, referrals. To me, it just seems more stable to have that kind of
Yep,
gradual
and it's
progress,
also it's more fun and less stressful too because no individual shoot is like, oh my god, I haven't been here with 418Ks and a lift and a techno crane. It's kind of like, well, you get all these tools in small amounts so that
Yeah, yeah,
it's like baby steps to make everything a little less daunting, I would say.
yeah, yeah. Exactly. No, it's good, man. I think just like what you're doing with like the art with the art documentary. I think it's great. I think people want to get into documentary. They should definitely look into that because I think that's a great avenue just to meet people and to network and to like grow skills and
Yeah, I think AOD has like 7,000 members, and I
it's
see
crazy,
people
man.
all the time like reaching out
Yeah,
to each other to help each other out on sets. Because to me, people are what make things. It's never a lens or a camera.
yeah, yeah,
It's do you have a couple of friends who are down to do a 16-hour day with a crazy idea, and every once in a while it turns out good. It's I don't know. Collaboration is king. Even working with other people, sometimes it gives you the energy. It invigorates you to push a project
hundred
farther
percent,
than if you were doing it
hundred
on your
percent,
own.
100%, 100%. When you work with people, it always gives you that extra juice to go further. Always, 100%, man. Like it's
And like sometimes I even have to like fake my enthusiasm on set to
yeah,
invigorate my crew. They say in
I feel
psychology that if you smile, it tricks your brain into thinking you're
yeah,
happy. And I remember hearing that in the psych course. So I took that energy to like, if the wheels ever look like they're falling off of production, and you know, your gaffer, key grip, whole crew is looking at you like, hey, this is not going well. You kind of look at them and you're like, guys, we're fine. This is excellent. Like we're gonna turn it around. And then they're kind of like, wow, does Nick know something we don't know? And then they rise to the occasion. Whereas if they look at you like, yeah, guys, we're boned today, it's just not going to work. That energy gets passed down the chain and you don't make your day.
Well, I think that's also what separates a boss from a leader, right? Because like a boss will say, what the hell are you doing? This sucks. But a leader will be like rallying the troops, right? Like just follow my lead. I think that's what separates just like bosses and leaders, right? And that's how people will work for you harder because they will believe in you and they will trust you.
Yeah, 100%. And that's, you know, it's easier said than done when something breaks or something isn't going well on set. But I would say if you can maintain a positive attitude, there's almost very rarely does something bad come from having a positive attitude. No one's ever like, that person was too nice and complimentary and had a great energy, ruined my day. But if you yell at someone or you have a negative energy, even if the final product turns out good, someone might be like, this person was kind of a dick to work for. I didn't enjoy my experience. So the next time you call them to sign them up for a 13-hour day, they might be like, you know, what's the rate? I might pass on this one. You're difficult to work with. Whereas if you're great to work with, they might go the other way and be like, hey, I only got like $400 for a grip today. They might be like, hey, you know what? It's always a good time. Let's do it.
Again, reputation is always key, right? Because they will remember how that person made them feel. So again, just to treat people with respect on set, which isn't very commonplace sometimes. But hey, that's life, I suppose. But
nope,
unfortunately.
And also, you never know where someone is in their career. Someone who's a PA on one set 2 years from now might be a director, and they're going to remember how they treated you, how you treated them. Yeah. So if you look down on someone who might be lower in the ladder, things can move quickly. They really can. And you might find yourself with that person, and they'll remember how you treated them at a more novice stage. Just looking out for everybody on set is, I don't know. I found more success with that than having being egotistical about it.
That's a karma thing too, right? Almost. So karma comes back sometimes in a rude way sometimes. So
yeah. And even at the end of every shoot, I kind of do a debrief with my crew, and I'm like, hey guys, I know today was tough, but I still wouldn't rather be anywhere else than this. Like, it's kind of it's a little mantra of being like, when you see your crews defeated, because some days are, you pour everything into a day. Yeah. But at the end of the day, if you're like, well, would we have rather been in an office building today? And everyone's like, no. And I'm like, okay, then even on a hard day here, this is still the best spot to be.
Yeah, exactly. Like, almost think of like the worst job you've ever had in your life. Would you rather be there or here?
Yeah, worst job I ever had was I did outbound call center where I was doing medical surveys. And that job was painful because you're just bothering people all day long. It was the only job I've ever had where I left at 5 p.m. and that was the best part of my day. For 5 minutes, I was like, oh, I don't have to be back here for, 18 hours or whatever it is. And then that would wear off after 5 minutes. And I was like, I don't ever want to be at a job where the best part of my day is leaving that job.
Yes. And unfortunately, a lot of us have been there and some of us are still there. So I think that's what your story makes it so inspiring, is that you actually made that shift to get out and to move into something that you actually enjoy doing every day, which, super cool, right?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have it any other way. And that isn't to say it isn't a ton of work without a ton of headaches. It is. But I mean, I think every job has headaches, no matter what level you're at. So that's just something you gotta put up with, and that's workplace hazard.
Place hazard. Like I almost think there is no dream job. There are jobs that you like more than others, but with every job, there's going to be challenges, things that you don't like, things that you like. So that's just kind of like my personal opinion on it. It's like, there really is no dream job. There's things that you like more.
And anything that you think is your dream job, after 2 weeks, you'll get bored of that too.
Yeah. Because there's always something next, right? There's always something on to the next thing. Now you're on to the next thing.
Like, and the things I love about film on any given day, I might say it's the thing that I hate today. Like, I love the challenge of film because it keeps it fresh and I can do a 14-hour day without getting fatigued because it's so challenging. But then there are
Yeah.
some days where I'm like, man, I just want an easy talking head day for
Right.
a pharma company so I don't have to deal with this
Right.
headache.
Right.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's I think taking a step back at the end of every shoot or every once in a while and just doing a perspective check on like, hey, we're pretty fortunate to be in this job. This is a good place to be. Like, it's almost a
Yeah.
very a humbling way to think, and it keeps you from growing too much of an ego or thinking that you might be more important than anyone else around you.
Yeah, man. Super. Yeah, no, I like that. It's great. It's great insight. I know that I think we have like 5 minutes left. So I'm just curious, like, in your opinion, in your opinion, like, who is like the best DP, who's the best DP right now in like the world?
Oh,
You got to pick
I
one
mean,
in the world.
Deakins is great. Everybody loves Deakins from a narrative standpoint. I'd say Oren Soffer has a great approach that he
Right.
just shot The Creator on FX3s. I love his
Yeah.
minimalistic approach.
Mm.
This isn't necessarily people are going to learn a lot from them, but
Yeah.
people that understand the higher level. In England, there's a commercial guy named Olin Carlady, and
Yeah.
his images are great. But it's like asking someone who's their favorite musician. Like, I have people
Yeah.
I look up to. I think there are more talented than not people on planet
Mm.
Earth. Like, there's always
Mm.
something to be taken away from everyone. I'm like, that's great in that shot. At
Yeah.
this point in my career, I'm more excited by someone who can work quickly and still make something look great because they're servicing the story without getting too precious, and they're getting it done. So I would say Deacons, Soffer, and
Yeah.
Olin Carlady. If you're into commercial stuff, check them out.
Check them out, eh? Well, cool. Yeah, it's great. You kind of like take pieces of their work and kind of try to have it in like your own work, right? You just kind of take pieces here and there, which I think is great.
Yeah,
And have
no,
like a
and I think that's what.
wide spectrum.
Yeah, even as you're listening to us talk today, take the things you like and the things you don't like, just throw them in the waste bin.
Yeah,
That's a
well, that's
totally
what
fine way to get your voice.
it's a constant process, and it never ends, right? And
Never.
also, yeah, go ahead, sir.
I think even someone once said, Deacons, you're the best cinematographer in the world. And he was like, I'm not the best. I just have the biggest book of what not to do next time.
That's a great tip. Eh? What not to do. Like, don't ask me what I do. Ask me what I don't do.
Yeah.
Actually, reverse. It's almost reverse thinking, almost, right? So
Yeah. So it's like, and I
yeah,
kind of have a similar process. And like, I don't think I make good images. I think I try to avoid the things that I think produce a bad image.
yeah,
It's and I don't know if that's a doctor's way of thinking, because in optometry, I never thought of myself as, I wasn't adding value of people to people's lives. I was taking away a problem they had. So if they couldn't see, I would solve the problem.
yeah.
But it wasn't like I was someone like a wedding planner might be adding value to someone's life. I always
Mm,
approach things from a way of like, well, I'm here to solve a problem for you. And I think I took that mindset into cinematography.
yeah. No, it's great insight, man. Really appreciate it. I know they get a call on right after this, so I will let you go. And really, thanks again for taking the time to come on this thing.
Yeah, Paul, it was a pleasure. I always like
Yeah,
rambling about this stuff.
no, it's good. I think it's great to just get your insight from someone that's actually working in the industry, and hopefully have you back on at some other point. So thanks again, Nick.
That would
Everyone
be
watching,
awesome.
listening, wherever this podcast is, go check out Nick. Links are in the description of this podcast, and we shall see you next time. Peace.
All right. Sounds good. Peace, everybody.